welcome back. This time I want to show you quickly how to do the initial shuffle for all the items. And let's start first with the monster deck. And for that I separated the monster deck into two different decks or two different parts. Both of them have the same back side here, but they contain, on the one side they use just the name of the monster and the picture of the monster to see what monster you normally draw randomly, and the other ones are just the monster modifiers, and these monster modifiers are 50 cards, and the monster deck itself is 110 cards. So roughly you have to put every second card should be a monster modifier for the first shuffle, and then you can just start shuffling again. And the monster deck itself also comes normally naturally with all the zombies in line, then the space throwers, for example here, all the ghouls, all the golems. So recommendation would be to first shuffle the monster deck itself a bit. It's up to you how to do this. If you just want to do a hand shuffle or something like this, or just throw them out on the table, mix them together and get them back in line together. It's up to you how to shuffle these. My recommendation would be to just make sure that there is some kind of shuffling, especially for the first parts. It's really good to have a good shuffle for the first play, because otherwise you will get a lot of same monsters in a row, or a few monsters with multiple modifiers or something like this. Which might happen in the game later on again, but only randomly then, hopefully. And so my recommendation is to make sure that you then put all these in some kind of order. What I normally do is if I just mix them in some way, I just put in one card over, if it's the same card, I just put it out for a moment, put another monster modifier on top of it, then just put two other ones here, put another modifier in, and so on, mixing the deck in that you have two monsters normally, and then one modifier again, depending on if I see it's still multiple monsters here side by side, and I just mix them manually a bit, just put a modifier on top of it, and then do this for the whole deck. And then afterwards, after I've created this deck manually a bit, then put everything together and then give it another shuffle, and then just put it in. After one or two plays, it will be pretty random. So the only thing you have to make sure is, as soon as you play a bit and you receive multiple modifiers for a monster, that you put them back on the discard pile or something like this, that you then later on mix these in a bit into the normal pile again after you played a round or something like this. And then we can see here all the different loot cards. So they all have the same back with the green jewels and the golden loot coins, and all of these are exactly the same back. It's 510 cards, and recommendation here is to first separate them by these icons. So you can see we have healing potions, or all potions that have this green top left icon. Separate these out. Then you have the event cards, for example here a treasure trove or a trap or something like this, all by this orange trap icon. So these should be 84 cards, these should be 74 cards. Then we have 80 of these Psi cards with the Psi symbol here in purple, and these Psi cards are all the spells, but also some healing or defensive spells or something like this, or swapping places, other things like this. These are IT cards, and I will put all these numbers later on also in the description, just so you can easily find these numbers later on again. The highest pile of different cards is the armor pile with this armor symbol on the top left, gray symbol, and this icon just shows you that it's something to wear or just something to use and not to attack with or something like this. These are then just defensive items or some usable items or something like this. And these usable items, this pile here is 128 cards. And these 128 cards is the biggest pile, so my recommendation would be to split it in two, roughly, so to mix two of each later back into the game. And then we have weapons in general, and all of the weapons have this top left blue icon with this X symbol, and this X symbol just means it's a weapon. Doesn't mean it's a melee weapon or a ranged weapon or something like this. It's just a weapon. If you want to, you can divide the weapons into the ranged weapons and the melee weapons. You can have a look here. Down here is a small bow in the attack icon for selecting all these ranged weapons, but you can also see it here with projectile weapons or throwing weapons. So all of these are then I normally also separate out to make sure that you have the ranged weapons also mixed in a bit instead of just having them in a big pile, including the normal melee weapons. The melee weapons itself, they contain shields, they contain heavy weapons, polearms, shields. There's also a few with ranges. For example, this military flail here has a range of 2. So there might also be a few that have range 3 or 4 or something like this. But mainly all the ones with higher ranges are the ranged weapons here with throwing and projectile weapons, and we have all the melee weapons here in this pile. This should be 96 and this should be 48 cards, so it's a bit more on the melee weapons. So what you can do is after you shuffled this part and this part, just put a few of the melee weapons over to the ranged weapons pile, so you have roughly the same size. And with this, all of these are the same sizes roughly. There will be a few missing at the end for each of the piles. But what I then do normally is just take one from each pile on top of it, each other. Sometimes I mix a Psi card in first, then a potion, and then a trap event or something like this. It might be good to just have all of them in the exact order you want them to be put into the deck then later. So what I will normally do is just start with a weapon, end with a weapon or something like this, and an armor. Have 2 armor piles here, and then you can just go and just put one on top of your deck. And as soon as you have finished this with all the cards, what you can do is just later on give a shuffle to this created deck, and then you should have some nice random loot decks. The same for the monster deck then. And as soon as it's really random, that's the best part then. It might be okay to sometimes have also 2 traps mixed in, whatever you choose. But after a few plays, it should not matter anymore because everything is really shuffled. And then after the second play, it normally doesn't matter anymore. Okay, have fun everyone.